Welcome to the Rise to the Challenge podcast. Joining you today, he's a Nashville recording artist and rancher. It's Chad Bushnell. How are you doing today, Chad?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good. We're so excited to have you on the show to talk about your Rise to the Challenge. What we like to do with all of our guests is go right to the beginning. Talk about where you're from and what did you like to do growing up?
Yeah, I'm from a small town in Northern California called Red Bluff. And man, growing up, I was into horses and sports and just all the, a lot of things. My parents are both rodeo, athletes. And so I grew up riding horses and, doing ranch stuff. And I get to play sports and all that. So, yeah.
When you saw your parents doing rodeo for the first time, what was your thoughts going through that?
I thought it was great, and really for me, obviously I took off wanting to do music. Ever since I was small, I've always loved music, but, it was great. I grew up watching my mom barrel race, and my dad steer wrestle and ride bulls. And it was awesome getting to grow up being at rodeos. It was a great experience. So.
Was it ever a conversation to kind of follow in the footsteps of your family members, or were they wanting you to do what you wanted to do?
Kind of both. I think my dad, he really wanted me to ride bareback horses, and it just wasn't my thing. I was a timey, I team roped and steer wrestled, so that's what I did. But my dad and grandpa both rode bucking horses, but it just wasn't my thing. So I did timed events and stuck with singing. So yeah.
You talked about horses. When you're riding a horse, what's that feeling like? What do you enjoy about it? And what does it, you have to have like that certain setting, that certain atmosphere to just enjoy it?
Yeah, I'm kind of an extreme sports type of guy. So I like to steer wrestle and team rope, or I guess you call it adrenaline junkie. So I have to, for me, I like riding around. I can go, my sister has a bunch of horses and I help her, condition them once in a while. And so I'll ride around with her and condition them, but I like to be like, doing stuff like steer wrestling, team roping, or riding in the mountains, or, something a little more extreme. So that's kind of what gets it for me when I'm riding horses. So.
Talk about a little bit more about the adrenaline junkie events you were just talking about. I'm very fascinated, as I'm not a person that's used to seeing those kind of events. Talk about a little bit more about those.
Yeah, so team roping, there's one person that that ropes the head and the other one ropes the heels, and you get a time. And you wouldn't, team roping is there's a lot of adrenaline. You don't know until you do it. You look at it, you're kind of like, oh, it's kind of easy, like golf or something. But until you get on there, you're going 30 miles an hour on a horse. And you got to know it. You got to pay attention, and especially steer wrestling. Steer wrestling was my favorite because it's kind of a cross between team roping and riding bulls. Because riding bulls is kind of crazy. So for me, steer wrestling was great. It wasn't super dangerous, but it wasn't too, but I liked it. You got to move quick, and you come out of the box with the steer, and you go as fast as you can and try to throw the steer on its back, basically, is what you do. And so I really liked it. But the good thing about steer wrestling is that steers don't try to chase you down like bulls. Bulls want to kill you. So,
Well, thinking about the bulls, the only thing I can think of is what I think they do it in France or something, where the bulls just start running through the towns and everyone's got to dodge it. That's the only thing I can think of. Bulls, rodeos, things like that. What's the biggest thing those events taught you about yourself? Did you have something that you didn't know you could do when you were doing those?
I was never sure about steer wrestling. I didn't know if I was big and strong enough. And the first time I was going to do it, I went to a school, and there was two of us, me and one other younger guy that had never jumped off a horse onto a steer before. And he decided to go first because he had some brothers that did it. So he went out and he got hurt really bad. And so for a few months, I was kind of scared to do it, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. And so I went to a different guy that was a family friend, and he's a professional, and he kind of talked me through and got me to jump my first time. And after I did that, I was like, whoa, this isn't so bad. And I was fine after that, and then I just started really liking it. And I did it for 3 years and just decided after a certain time I want to stick with music.
Talk about your love for music. What was that music that you listened to that kept your passion going?
And I grew up, mostly listening to traditional country and Southern gospel. I grew up playing in church with my great grandma and my dad, and so a lot of foundation of traditional country and Southern gospel.
Was that the only style of music that you were brought up, or did you try to like listen to other genres and it just wasn't for you in a way?
I did, you know, I mean, my family, we all listen to country a lot, but I listen to a lot of rock too. I mean, Creedence Clearwater, Bob Seger. I grew up listening to all that stuff too, and I love it. It's infused in my music a little bit. I always feel like I have kind of a country sound, but a lot of rock influence into it as well. So more of the southern rock. And yeah, and I mean, when I got into junior high, high school, of course, I listened to like Matchbox 20 and that kind of stuff too. So I have a little bit of that influence. Good stuff.
What was the first instrument you played?
Guitar. Yeah. Still the only instrument I played. At some point in my life, if I have more free time, I'd love to learn how to play the piano. But I took lessons for 6 months, and I just decided I just couldn't keep up with it. It was tough. And so, but guitar has been my instrument.
Was the music industry always the main goal as a career for you, or was there ever something else that you dreamt of doing?
Pretty much ever since I was 3, I wanted to be a country singer. It's really all I wanted to do. I also work as a farrier. I know we might get to talk about that a little bit, but I do shoe horses. That's probably my other passion. I always thought if I decided I didn't want to go out on the road and tour, teaching would be a great thing. And so that's always been kind of my back pocket, is being a teacher too. So.
How does someone get into the music industry? How do you start that path to, I mean, we all wish that we were the big top star selling records. Like, I don't even think people are selling records, but albums and songs like crazy. How did you get it started?
Yeah, and I coming from a small town, Red Bluff, I didn't really know. I knew I started writing songs and singing at a young age, and I was singing it like, I sang a lot of the national anthems at a lot of events. That was my main thing. And I jammed with a lot of people. Finally, in high school, I'm kind of like, man, I want to do this. And so someone said, start entering some talent shows. So I entered talent shows. And finally, when I was about 16, I ended up winning one. And that kind of opened some doors, and some people started talking to me. And basically, I also did the FFA conventions too. I was in FFA all 4 years. And my teacher, Jenny Lynn Swady, talked me into performing at the state convention. And so, man, when I did that, that was like, wow. I mean, that was way big compared to anything I'd ever done. There was 5,000 people, and
Wow.
I got passed out before I got on stage because I was 16, and I said, wow. And then from there, I kept performing, doing national anthems, and I sang the national anthem at a PBR event, a small one in Red Bluff. And the promoters, they liked me, and they said, hey, you want to open at the fair for James Otto? And I said, heck yeah. And so that's kind of when so I just started doing that, really singing the national anthem, entering talent shows. I think it's a great way to get started. Of course, moving to Nashville or LA, something I never really did, but that's helpful too.
Is it always the mindset of someone getting into the music industry to just try to get as many gigs as possible, because you never know who you're going to meet at those gigs, but also it's gaining experience, gaining that kind of resume style?
Yeah. And I didn't really start getting a lot until I got into college, and yeah, it was great. That's what really got me to the next level, I feel like, because I got in there, I was pretty green and cold, and I still am, but I got in there, and I really I always played guitar, but 3 years of playing in college really upped my game on playing guitar, performing and singing. And I really I watched other people, and I opened for a lot of bands around our area for a while, and just kind of watch what they did. It's like, whoa, okay, I want to go home and try that and practice and go to the next one. My guitar playing though went way up in 3 years just from playing gigs. I was playing every weekend in college, and so.
What was that college experience for you, for you? What were you going for? And did music kind of take over, or did you kind of mix them all together?
Well, I've always wanted, especially my family, I always wanted to get my bachelor degree in college, and that's as far as I wanted to go. But I wanted for sure to do that, to get my bachelor degree before I went full bore with my music. And so I made sure it ended up taking me 5 years, but I got my business degree, my bachelor's in business. And so during college, I was kind of doing both, but I knew as soon as I graduated, I wanted to have a career in music. But it taught me so much. I mean, it just got me, the business knowledge, my maturity, my study habits, and being able to handle yourself in the music business. I mean, it's a business, and a lot of people don't realize that are in it. You have to know, treat it like a business. You have to know business, and that's probably what's kept me going, is that because there's so many talented people out there. I mean, you go to Nashville and you're like, whoa, even just from where I'm at, there's a lot of talented people. And so, really treating it like a business and running it like a business, that's kind of how I try to do it.
You brought up a great point about getting that bachelor's degree, especially in business where you knew music was going to be your passion, but gaining that knowledge made you even a better, I would say, an entrepreneur in a way, because you're the one controlling where you're going to be and how you're going to play and what you're creating, and that you made sure to have that safety net. And I think everyone should take those business classes because there's skills that
Mhm.
anybody can use. You talked about the music industry, athletes are talking about from a contract standpoint. And then you have even CEOs that have to know the business side. So it's nice that you mentioned about that, because for me, I was the same way. I knew I wanted to be in sports, but business is that foundation to gain
Mhm.
all the skills and knowledge for
Yeah.
anything you do in life.
Yep. Yeah, too. I had a funny quick story. I was with the people at Mesa Productions. I like to give them a lot of credit because they're the ones that had me sing. I played for some event, and so they had me sing the national anthem for the PBR. And then 3 years later, they had me open for James Otto, which he was a big country star.
Mhm.
And so from then, I got to open for Lee Brice and Scotty McCreery, which I was super stoked to open for Scotty McCreery. I said, wow. And they were kind of, he just won American Idol, so they're very protective over him. But I think I'm 2 or 3 years older than Scotty, probably. And when I opened for him, I saw him stand there, so we got to talk to him for a minute. And I think I was in my senior year of college, or so I was pretty close to graduating. And he just started college, and I was talking to him about it, and I said, man, he kind of asked me, well, what's your thoughts on college? I said, man, dude, I said, you're doing so good. I mean, obviously, you just won American Idol, you have a #1 hit song, but I said, just for your own personal, you know, thing, get your bachelor's degree, follow through with it and get it. And I think he did. I don't know. I never talked to him since, but I kind of feel like maybe I was one of the ones that encouraged him to finish his college career. So I don't know. It's a pretty cool experience getting to talk to Scotty McCreery. I was like, wow. But he was only had to have been only 18 at the time. And I said, yeah. I said, man, you're doing great, but get that bachelor. So,
Especially at that age, because they think, oh, I'm going to go big time or I'm going to go mainstream. And you think of some of those American Idols, no one talks about some of them that won. I couldn't even tell you maybe half of the winners because they either went for a year or two and then they fell off. So you telling him that, it's like, well, you have a little piece of, I helped Scotty McCreery in a way.
maybe, yeah, that's what I like to think.
What other big things did you learn from opening up for those individuals, those big country stars? What are some things that you learned from that experience?
Oh man, I learned like how to be in the stuff to do in the music business. I talk to those guys and I pick their brains if I can.
Mhm.
Most of them are really cool. I mean, I gotta say Lee Brice, Jared Neiman, Mark Wills, those three have been very nice. And they encourage me, and kind of once in a while I'll reach out and they might respond and say, hey, you need to do this and that, and and you need to be here in Nashville in and out. You need to be writing more. And so I've kind of think of some of this, especially Aaron Watson too. He's been a great coach, and I've learned a lot. I've worked with his team a little bit, and his band's been helping produce my music lately, and his drummer produced the song that's coming out. And so I've learned a lot from them and their crew, really, I would say. So,
Growing up in a small town in California and going to other places around the world or around the country, what was that experience like? Did it get nervous going to these places you've never been to, or was it more of an excitement because of the experience that you got?
kind of both. I mean, it's always been my dream to travel and perform. That's my favorite part of this too. Is I mean, I do love to write. I love to play guitar, and I love everything about it. But my ultimate favorite thing is traveling, performing, playing shows, meeting new people. And I always love to meet new people and play different areas. That's the best part for me. I really like that part of it. Not everybody likes that. My friend Corey back in Nashville, I mean, he likes to write songs 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and goes home with his family on the weekends. He doesn't really perform. For me, I mean, like I said, I like to write, but performing's that's what I like to do. And I really get excited. I mean, yeah, I get nervous. I did at first, especially going to Nashville. It's intimidating to go to
Mhm.
Nashville sometimes. But now I just get excited. Like I just think, man, anytime I get to go to Nashville and write songs on Music Row and perform, it's just pretty awesome. So,
How do you stay focused with being known as a Nashville recording artist, where in Nashville, there's hundreds and thousands of other people wanting that spot or that opportunity. How do you stay focused on the prize?
Man, I just, I pray about it and just put it in God's hands, because I know that there's only a certain amount you can control. I mean, I can only, sing as good as I can sing and write songs as good as I can write. I mean, I go there, I try stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I just keep, I treat it like it is my job and it's
Mhm.
business. Like I was saying before, I just, and I always, I prayed about it and known, I think since I was 3, there's some kind of place for me somewhere there. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's being the next Blake Shelton or writing a hit song or something or making a living at it. I don't know, but I've just always known since I was 3, there's something, and that's what's kept me going with it, really. So.
Sometimes I ask musicians, what's your dream stage you want to perform at? So I'm going to ask you that. What's that dream stage you hope to perform at in your future?
Yeah, I mean, the Grand Ole Opry would be pretty awesome. I'm sure you get that. But I mean, some of these arenas too, I got to say, I mean, something I always wanted to do and I've hoped for. When I went to that FFA convention for 3 years, the Selland Arena in Fresno, I mean, it holds like 10, 15,000 people, that place. It's huge. And I said, man, someday if I can, get some credibility and have a hit song, it'd be cool to come back and perform on that stage in front of the, 10, 15,000 people. So I'm hoping I get that opportunity at some point. So.
You're the answer with the Grand Ole Opry. A lot of times I have country artists, they say that, but it's just the legacy and the basically the opportunity of a lifetime to go there. It's big for star or country singers because of the impact that it has on their careers. Is there ever a kind of duo, like a duet opportunity? Who would you want? Would you ever want that Scotty McCreery opportunity to kind of reminisce on the first time you met to where you've gotten to in your career?
Yeah, that'd be awesome to have a duo with Scotty. But yeah, man, I mean, probably my ultimate for me would, man, if I got to have a duet, it would, probably be with Vince Gill. I'd have to say. I mean,
Okay.
he's one of my favorites. If I ever got to get on stage and sing and play guitar with Vince Gill, that probably, I'd probably be able to just quit and be like, okay, I think, I've lived my dream, and or Dwight Yoakam. But Vince Gill, is something about Vince.
I'd like to move to your songs. When you're writing a song, what's the big message you're hoping for when a listener is listening to it?
Yeah, and just to touch people and encourage them. I mean, I I like doing inspirational country. I mean, most of the time, and that's kind of what I've fallen into lately. We just hope it can bless some people in some way and encourage them to do better in their own life, and and that's kind of what I like to do with my music and my writing. That's why I've been going back there and writing with Corey Barker and some of those guys that are big inspirational country writers. That opportunity came about, and some people I get to write with, it's pretty awesome. So I just hope it touches people, blesses people, and helps them try to be better in life. That's what I hope.
Are the songs that you write, are they from personal experiences that you've gone through and that you're hoping that someone out there can maybe relate and utilize it as an inspiration that you mentioned?
Yeah, most of the time they're from life experiences or other people's lives I've looked at, and seen. I write stuff about that too. But a lot of the songs off this new album that's coming out kind of have the, hometown, small town influence thing. And one of my songs is talks about staying in your hometown. And because people ask me all the time, like, oh, you got to be in Nashville, Nashville, all this stuff. And get out of Red Bluff. And I said, well, not everybody wants to do that, and
Mhm.
there's, I mean, yeah. And my whole thing on the Nashville thing, I think you got to be there, but I think that it's also really oversaturated too. And I don't think
Yep.
that, I don't think that everybody has to go to Nashville. Some people are happy just being where they're from and writing songs, and so yeah, I just hope that when I write songs, it encourages people to kind of do what they want, what's in their heart, and not what everybody else wants, tells them all the time.
That's put that on like a poster, a neon sign right there, because it's like people maybe outside of the industry think, oh, you should go do that. I go, I think I'm doing what's best for me. And like you
Exactly.
said, some people like that hometown feeling, like being
Yeah.
there and kind of creating their own atmosphere because you can make music wherever you want in this world.
Mhm.
Yes, Nashville has its pros and cons, but your hometown, Red Bluff, has the pros and cons also.
Mhm.
But you want to be where you're comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm close to my family, and I got a lot of support here. have some people that kind of help sponsor some things, and it's just like my team's here, you know. And I go to Nashville. I mean, I do love going to Nashville. Hopefully at some point I can make enough money and buy a small house there, and I can live there too. That's the goal. But you know, I go back there to co-write and record a lot of my stuff, and just to, you know, to mingle and communicate. And so
During the last couple of years with the pandemic, how has that played an impact in your music career?
man, that was tough. I mean, I had it better than a lot of people. You know, I, like I said, I also work as a farrier, and so I was able to keep that going, but it wasn't quite enough. And you know, when I lost all my shows in 2020, I'm like, man, you know, we're okay. I'm shoeing horses, and you know, my wife works. We were doing okay to pay our bills, but it just wasn't, you know, I'm like, I do want extra stuff too, you know. And
Yep.
so there's this jerky company that, it was a little small hole in the wall place, and I always got their jerky because, you know, I could eat it when I'm working, and I wouldn't have to stop for lunch. I could munch on it and keep me going through work. And they expanded, and unfortunately, when the fires happened, I think they made a bunch of money and expanded and got kind of big. So I was sitting there one day during COVID, like, man, what do I do? And I said, man, I wonder if they would do a Chad Bushnell jerky, and I would work with them. And so I reached out to them, and they were all about it. I mean, I have to work at it, I have to sell it, but that did help. It's helped a lot since COVID, when all my shows are canceled. I also went back to school too for a little bit, for 6 months. I never thought I'd go back to college again. I thought after I got my bachelor's, but I went back, and during those 6 months, I got my prerequisites done for being a school teacher. So yeah, and I kept writing. You know, that's kind of how I wrote some songs for this new album during COVID, and it's a little inspiration there. So yeah.
I'm so fascinated about this beef jerky. What's the flavor? Like, what was the creation of it?
Well, it kind of went off what they have, but the honey pepper is definitely that's what everybody talks about. But I don't know. So I have honey pepper, regular pepper, and garlic.
Okay.
The honey pepper seems to be the best seller. People just like that. I'll have to send you a little bag, and it's pretty good stuff. It's all natural, and it's just, you know, it's great. You know, because some certain jerky, for me, it doesn't sit right with me, and kind of wigs me out a little bit when I'm working. But this stuff, it's just all natural, you know, and it's good stuff. And I love working with them, and I love selling it. So.
Well, you talked about selling it, and thinking about what's education, you went with a business degree. Those skills have to help you during that time with selling a jerky, because your name's on it. You want to do a good job for that.
Yeah. No, it's been great. It's a learning curve too. And I learned, you know, where it sells. I have it in 4 different stores now, which is cool. I'm really excited about that. And the jerky company, they're just awesome. It's called It's Jerky, and now they have the brand Chad Bushnell It's Jerky. And so yeah, it's been great. Sells at my shows and sells at the stores, and it's great stuff. So
with going back to your songs, are you someone that kind of just likes to put out songs instead of trying to make a music video or those kind of things? You just want to record and get the music out there for your fans to listen?
I like to do both. I mean, I don't get too carried away with the music video thing. I think like maybe one per album. I'll pick my favorite song and put a music video to it. But I know for this song, we're just doing a lyric video. I had a cool thing happen actually with Ford, and Big Valley Ford out of Stockton, kind of a little south of me. They took interest in my music and have been using it for their commercials. And so they did a full music video on me and used it to promote their trucks. And so it was kind of cool. They took over and did everything for me and used my song. And so that's been something I've been working with them now. And so they've been doing my music videos, lyric videos. My favorite song off this album, Whiskey to Work, that's coming out in February, I'm going to do a music video for that one in Nashville though. So, but I like to just record. I like to keep music coming out every couple months and keep things fresh. And so that's what I like to do. So
talk about that new single that's coming out soon. What was the inspiration behind it, and what are your thoughts people are going to have about it when it comes out?
Well, you know, so Ain't Much Changed. Normally I like to write everything I do, but I had the pleasure of meeting Brian White, who's written many hit songs. He wrote, that one that they play on the radio like 100 times a week still. Been Watching You, by Rodney Atkins. Cool song. He wrote that, and they needed another act to be at the songwriter night, and I got to sit next to Brian White and sing my songs I wrote with him, and I'm like, whoa, I'm a big fan. And so after the show, I got connected with Brian, and I said, man, I'm coming out with this new album. I said, I'd love to write with you. It didn't work out to write with him, so I said, well, could you maybe send me some songs? I'd love to just record one of your songs and put on the album. And so he sent me 6 songs, and I heard this one, and obviously I'm a big 90s country fan. That's probably my favorite, Tim McGraw, Tracy Lawrence. So I heard this song and I said, whoa, this sounds like something Tim McGraw would have came out with in the 1990s. So I said, that's a song I want to record. And I felt like I sang it, the best I could. It fit my voice. And so I went with that. And, the lyrics, I've actually had a couple family members that have almost gone through the same scenario the song talks about, so I could relate. So, I mean, the first time I heard it, I said, well, I got to hear that song again. I got to hear the demo. And so I knew that was the song. And so that's the first one I wanted to come out for this new album. And I'm excited about it. So
It's amazing that you had that connection with, or your family members had the connection, because it makes them feel for it. And I think that's what's so powerful with music nowadays is you may hear it and there's that emotional connection to it. But then when you really dive down deep into the lyrics, you're like, I know why I connected with it, because there's something that hits that lyric or that note or the song for that person. With those music, with those, when your fans hear it, are you getting that reaction from them? Where are they having those same moments?
I think so. I didn't experience this, but I'm close to, not personal, so to give it to an uncle of mine. And they had this experience of like almost a song, and I'm close with them, and I kind of watched how it affected him, and this song was like almost exactly about what happened with him, really. And I said, wow, this song couldn't be any more real. And so that was kind of the thing that put me over there. So yeah, I got to record this song. And so yeah, and my fans, I mean, I have a lot of people that message me and say, whoa, I lost so and so, this hits home. And so when I hear that, it's kind of cool to.
With social media being a powerful tool with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and those, how have you been able to utilize that to really branch your brand out there?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. I try to post stuff every day, and sometimes I don't post just music stuff. I'll post like I'm shoeing some horses or roping with my sister or fishing, or so people kind of try to keep it real. And yeah, it's been great. I mean, a lot of the videos I've posted, and my sister and my mom and everybody sort of helps me with that, all my social media. And of course, shout out to Burning Ground Entertainment. They've been a lot of help lately. And so yeah, it's social media has just been awesome. I feel like when I put those couple music videos out a few years ago, those really helped. And because I'd just been performing locally, and when I put those out, I mean, people in like Pennsylvania were commenting on there, and I'm like, whoa, this is kind of next level. It was cool. So
Well, if people are listening to this at the time of this interview, you posted a couple hours ago about you were at the lake with your family members.
yeah.
And I think that's so important, because a lot of times artists want to just post music, 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 but us as fans, we want to be able to learn more about you. And that's what I do on my shows. I want to know about you and your experience and stuff.
Mhm.
When you're posting those and reminiscing on those moments,
Mhm.
does that always make you think, when's the next time I'm going to get to do that again? I want to go back to the lake. I want to go be with animals and things like that.
Yeah. All the time. Yeah. So.
So what's something you hope to do personally? We talked about your music, but personally, what are something you want to accomplish in the future?
Man, and I have a lot of things. I'm kind of one of those people, but I love to hunt and fish, and of course, I guess outside of the music performances on the Grand Ole Opry and stuff like that, I'd love to go, trophy mule deer hunting someday. I'd love to go, fishing in Alaska, or something, stuff like that. I mean, that stuff. I would like to go to Europe someday and uh, travel and do that whole thing. I think would be pretty cool. It's always something. Ever since I watched European Vacation, maybe when I was little, I'm like, yeah. So I want to do that someday. I want to take. Another thing you just made me think. I think you can still do it, but if I ever have kids and stuff, I want to get the station wagon and take the family and do the old Route 66 tour.
Okay.
Something I've always wanted to do, and I know a lot of it's hit and miss, but you start in LA and go to Chicago, I believe, and you drive and you make all the stops, and you go to Winslow, Arizona, you go prehistoric forest, and do that. That's something I want to do someday if I have kids and take the family on a road trip. So anyway.
The final question I'll ask you, for someone that's listening to this interview based on your journey and experience, what tips or advice would you give them to overcome obstacles, accomplish their goals, and rise to the challenge?
And just really pray. I mean, I've always kept, Lord center in my life, and just, keep my faith and work hard, and, just going into it, know you're going to have ups and downs. I mean, a lot of people get into it and, their first down, they give up, but you just have to know going into the music business that, there's going to be a lot of highs and lows. And I mean, I've been turned down. I've gone to Nashville for something and people completely flake out on me, and there just went a little bundle of travel money, So yeah, you just have to go into it. Know if it's what you really want to do, then you have to just follow through and keep going,
Well, Chad, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about your rise to the challenge. You're inspiring so many people, and we're excited to see what the future looks like for you.
Thank you, man. It's great to talk to you, and thanks for having me.